Hello there! So today I'm going to be reviewing a book, which is Magic Flutes by Eva Ibbotson. First things first, the story is about a girl named Tessa, as featured here, who, if I remember correctly, is about 17, and she is a princess. She's the Princess of Pfaffenstein, which I believe is in Austria. I'm pretty sure the book is set in Austria, although I'm sure they mentioned Germany a few times. But I think it's set in Austria because it's got the Austrian opera, the Viennese opera. But so Tessa is the Princess of Pfaffenstein in Austria, and she gives up her royal duties to follow her passion, which is music and the opera. And she works unpaid at the Viennese opera backstage, and basically they can't do without her. They just can't cope without her. Then along comes Guy Fawkes, who is an Englishman, very, very handsome, very, very rich, and it's fairly obvious from the start that they're gonna fall in love. It's just obvious, So I'm not spoiling anything, because the question of this book is how and when. Because Guy has come to Austria to hire the Viennese opera in order to play at his engagement party to Nareen, who is also English and is very concerned with her status, her looks and her riches. Tessa also can't fall in love with Guy because she is going to be getting engaged to Maximilian of Spital, which is another castle in Vienna. And he keeps trying to propose to her, and every time he does, she stumps him. So the book's kind of following both of their love stories. Who will end up with who? I'm going to talk about the characters now. Tessa, as a protagonist, is a lovely character, but she's kind of the only female that Eva Ibbotson seems to be able to write as a protagonist, which is perfect. Like, nothing wrong with her, she is just lovely, and that's great if I hadn't read it 3 times before in the other 3 books I've read. I would like to say though, that Tessa is literally, this book is just my dream life in a book. Because although bad things happen to Tessa, she's a princess in Austria, which is my favourite country. I've wanted to be a princess since I knew what a princess was. She works at an opera company, which I would love to do. That would be amazing. I've always wanted to work backstage at any theatre performance thing. She has a passion for music and she has a passion for love. And that's just perfect. She falls in love with an Englishman, which, if I was Viennese, would be my dream, and even now I'm English, it's my dream, so you know. Next is Guy, who is the Englishman who comes over. Now, he is very, very romantic, and I can see why she falls in love with him, and I can see why any woman would fall in love with him. But he has a very short temper for no reason at random times. Like, he talks to Tessa, and as soon as he finds out things that he didn't know before, like, that you wouldn't mention in a sentence normally anyway, he gets really, really angry with her from that point on, and he just cuts her off, and it's really strange. I don't even know. Also, he's really, really lovely to Nareen the whole time, even when she pushes him over the edge, and then suddenly, even once he's over the edge in his mind, he's fine, and then suddenly he snaps, and it's really, really weird, because then he gets really aggressive, like a freaking beast, like the Beast in Beauty and the Beast. It is really strange. I can't even. That's a bit of a flaw for me, but he is a lovely character, and he's one that you can kind of relate to because he's besotted by Nareen. So speaking of Nareen, she is an infuriating character, but that's how she was supposed to be written. You can see that, and in which case I think Eva Ibbotson, you've done a fantastic job of writing Noreen, because everyone just wants to slap her, so that's got to be a good thing. Maxie, who is the one who keeps trying to propose to Tessa, is just a bit like a puppy dog. He's constantly trying to please Tessa, he's constantly trying to propose to her. You just want to say to him, Maxie, just find another girl, she doesn't want you. Maxie. Oh, Maxie. I just feel so sorry for him. It's so sad. Now, in terms of setting, I think it's very, very interesting because it's set in 1922 in Vienna and, well, in Austria generally. And as someone who has never been to Austria, is going in less than a month. I'm so excited. In fact, I'm going in a week on Saturday. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Anyway, as someone who absolutely adores Vienna from the 3 books I've read and from reading up on Vienna because I've been so excited by it, I can't get enough of this book. The setting is beautiful, and all of Eva Ibbotson's settings just make you want to be there. The last thing I want to say is just that although I've raved about this book and I really, really enjoyed it, I would say that I feel like it was very, very slow. Now, as someone who you might have guessed on my channel, I'm into fast-paced action. Now, this book doesn't really have that much action, as you could call it, but it is very slow. And once I got into the slow pace and the relaxed kind of pace, I really, really enjoyed it. I would say that this is probably a summer read for when you're on the beach and when you're just chilling. It's a very good read for that because it doesn't make you feel particularly emotional either. Although I did get a lump in my throat at one point when Tessa was talking about love and she was explaining how love feels because it was so accurate. But that's an entirely different story. And now it's time for my quote, and it's actually a pretty long one. It's Tessa explaining love, and I just thought it was so accurate, or at least I thought it was, that I had to share it with you. So, this is at the end of chapter 5, and she says, she's talking to Guy, and he is saying that he'll look after her and always make sure she's okay, because he kind of sees her like a sister or like a daughter. And she said, and Tessa smiled. "I'm glad," she said, and took one of the crystallised plums from the box he held out to her. She was glad. She was very glad. She was happy. Nothing was going to happen, not ever. He loved someone else. Odd, though, that happiness should feel so much like a weight pressing against her chest. Odd that the room looked suddenly a little misty. Odd, too, that when she so liked Carlsbad plums, the ones she was eating should taste as if it had been dug out of an Egyptian tomb. Bye! Sorry it's been such a long video.